how's everybody doing? 3:55. 3:55 in Chicago coming up on 4 o'clock. All right, we got 6 days to go, guys, left in the month here now. All right, so we'll get the next 5, and then we get maybe six or 7. Okay. um, so anyhow, we're getting close. All right, we're getting close to closing out this month here. So I'm going to go through some of the sectors. We take a look and see what's cooking. We're just going to go through the weeks, and we'll see what's going on with the sectors, and we'll see what's happening. All right. So couple things right off the bat. I just want to kind of bang this out kind of fast. I don't want to take a whole lot of time with this. So XLF, I've been talking about it. We got a really mixed bag here on some of these banks. Okay. Now this is XLF, so this is the actual ETF. So that's our week right there. Okay. It's a 2-1-2 back down. All right. And then we wait to see what happens. Try to go back up to those highs at 58.41. And that's pretty much highs if ever there. And then you see some of the banks, didn't fare so well with Wells Fargo down. Citibank, I think, was maybe a little bit. No. So outsider to the downside on that one, on Citigroup. And then we got Bank America, all right, coming back down on the outsider, coming back down. And then you got MasterCard. Credit's good. All right. 2 up on MasterCard for the week. Visa outside for the week, coming back up. So you see how we are such a mixed bag. CBOE, get the fees, baby, get the fees. Nice move there on a big outsider on CBOE, looking real good there, right? So coin, huge. All right. A big part of it was today. But Coinbase, really, really nice week to the upside. All right. So we got really, really mixed bag. Another one that's really screaming to the upside is Charles Schwab. Just getting them and getting them. More and more people want to trade stocks. So we'll see. All right. We'll see what happens with that one. So that's your financials. And again, we got some of the big name banks are down and out. And then you got all these other ones that are moving to the upside, and a lot of it's credit. All right. Another one was American Express. All right. So this one kind of not telling us anything there. All right. So we'll see what American Express brings there. XLF, that's the move there. Just some things that we were watching this week here. We got BMNR. Look at the week this guy put up here. All right, that's the 2-1-2 up. All right, this is in the Bitcoin, so it's a Bitmine immersion. All right, beautiful week up on this thing here. If you're in this thing, you're not getting out of this thing. All right, stay with this trade right now. If you break it down to the daily and you kind of get the gist of where it all came from. All right, big move to the upside on this guy. All right, I'm going to go back to the week, though. All right, we'll stay there. All right, so BMNR, big move here for the week. And then you got Bitkern, busted out. Look at this week to the upside. All right, got up to 79,642. It was at $64 like 12 days ago. All right. Big rally back up here to the upside. I think higher on the Bitcoin here. So we'll see what happens with that one. Beautiful week for the Bitkern. All right. Couple of things that we've been watching as well. Chevron now gave us a nice 2-week up. Right. We were in the energies. 2-week up. And then Chevron started to fall apart on us a little bit here on this last week. Okay. So a little bit of movement coming back to the downside. I think these things are still pretty good, but this thing did cut down about halfway through the week. So we'll keep an eye on Chevron, and we'll see what happens there. Exxon, I think the same way. found some exhaustion risk and come down inside. I'm not saying that the trade's out and you should be out of the trade. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that you're bringing them in on some selling pressures came in, and it happened during this week. It was really stout last week, and now she kind of gives it up a little bit. And then you got the other one here, ConocoPhillips, just a beast for the week. No relinquishing too much at all. 2-2 up. All right, so energy is still running the show. Okay, now you got Bitcoin trying to come in here and take the spot out. We'll see what happens with that. All right, so two big sectors that are kind of getting at it. So we'll see what happens when he comes in next week. It's going to be interesting. Okay, and so now we would look at some of the discretionaries, XLY. I won't talk about retail because it's all about the same business. XLY, this is our discretionaries. All right, this is finishes for the week. A little indecisive, and it's not really telling us too much, okay? It's green, so we got that going for us. All right, so a little bit better there. This group is still pretty tough. I got a couple of names, though. Ross Stores had a nice week, and Ross Stores had some good numbers that came up today. I got a hammer coming back up from Ross Stores. Couldn't turn green, but this thing has been fighting back pretty strong. All right, so Ross Stores is a little bit better there. And the couple ones that we've been talking about, McDonald's and Starbucks and all this garbage, and McDonald's, he poked up today, this week. All right, so you got a nice hammer on the week. Now we'll see if something can grow from there. All right, we'll see what happens with that. Starbucks, not much there either, I don't think. Now, all right, so stuck in the middle with you. That's no fun. You don't want to be in the stick in the middle with me. All right, so either way here right now, a little indecisive, but buyers in control from what I can see on that chart on Starbucks. All right, so that one's a little bit better. I'm always sympathy for Nike, and when I see Nike put up a decent week, I gotta say it. All right, so nice hammer up on the weekend, Nike. Is that gonna start something? Probably not, but I like to see it come up. All right, so nice hammer on the Nike. Hopefully, something becomes of that, because I really do want Nike to get back up. All right. Nike. What else here? Lululemon. Not too much there, right? What are we doing, Lululemon? Nice hammer on the week. All right. Looking for maybe some higher prices from here. All right. So we'll see. Lululemon was up 4.65% today. So today was a big part of this week. All right. So nice day today for Lulu to finish it strong. Okay. Again, I'm not going to go through too many. In the industrials, man, everything across the board is garbage. Couple of things that were moving this week was CSX on the railroads. All right, 2 up on the railroads here on CSX. That was a pretty good week, I got to say. Norfolk Southern, all right, put up a nice week. Put up a really good week here on Norfolk Southern. All right. Union Pacific, if I can sign it right, UMP. Union Pacific, nice stout 2 up, man. No room for Sneaky Pete at all in there. All right. So Union Pacific, better day there. And then you can Rail America, one of my favorites of all time. All right. Coming back up from here from the bottom. We'll see what happens. That's a nice hammer coming back up on that one. All right. So that's really the only group in the industrials. I mean, there's probably more, but there's so many stocks. But I picked the group that looked like they were starting to move. Airlines are down. They're not. Don't touch the airlines. They're still down. All right. So that's where we are right now on the industrials. And then you can XLI. You can see that the week hasn't been great. All right. But you're starting to see a couple of these names that finished this week. So we'll see if they can capitalize on that and if anybody else wants to join that party We'll see if that happens. All right, so that is your industrials. Um, Healthcare, they just picked it up out of the blue because tech was dying, so they just grabbed the lowest ones they had. This thing was down at 166 here, guys, at the low of the week, and it went up to 176. All right, so that was a pretty decent move from the upside on 5 days. All right, so XLV, now they brought it in a little bit, and XLV, you got some names that are moving around now. This has been the real. This has been the stout one right here. Marna just made this huge move, lifted the whole group up, and already you start to see them starting to dissipate and maybe come back in, and you can see it coming from back down on some exhaustion risk. You're going to be coming in with an inside week here. Marna, I think you're going to be trapped in there for a little while. Merck was another one that really made a nice move. There, bam, there you go, up to 154.49. 2-2 up on Merck. Going to be hard to break this down now, guys. All right, so that's pretty stout to the upside on there. I put my COR in there just because I like it, but it's not that great, but it is actionable. So look for the 2-1-2 back up on this. We'll see if these healthcares can get going. If tech gets in, these guys are going right back in the garbage can. All right, I think Merck and Myrna are going to be around. All right, but if tech starts to take over, they're going to drop it like a hot potato. All right, and it's not happening yet. It's still tech is not doing anything. I'm not even going to talk about tech. Tech is dead. All right, so core a little bit better there on the week. And what else did I have in there? I had one more in there. Amgen. All right, Amgen, nice to the 2 up. All right, nice week on Amgen. All right, that's your move there. Okay. Rails, McDonald's, Starbucks, couple other names here. We talked about energy, RRC. Here's another one. Had a nice week up on RRC, and it hangs out with this guy, EQT, back up to the upside there. All right, that's an insider looking for that 2-1-2 up in that week. We'll see if energy can keep it going on here. It's the war trade, so it's the most volatile one that we can look at. All right. So, and then on that note, it's XLE. Just so you know, that is the ETF and had a nice week up. Kind of gave back a little bit here in the last 2 days, but XLE pretty stout for the week as well. The metals just cruising, man. XLB is the group. All right. So all the metals, you got an outsider now on the week on XLB. All right. So nice week for the week on this guy. All right. And then we look at just a few names here. GDX. All right. So GDX is stout on the week, man. Really strong. GDX, baby, to the upside. And then gold and silver. Had another nice week up with the gold. Look for continuation to the upside on that one. And silver, all right, silver was an outside week. So another big move here for the metals. All right, that group is staying strong. There's no reason to be getting out of any of that. Now, our utilities, when the week went up here, and when it made the move here, when it busted out, and we talked about the 2-1-2, the month should get right. Everything fell apart after that. It got rejected when we got to this 2 par right here. We did not make the higher high there, guys, and that's the lesson. We did not get the higher high here, and then we paid for that one. And now you can see what happened on the dailies. It just fell apart and then came all the way back out to the triangle out on the day. Okay, so XLU fell apart on us, but That's the reason why we wait before we get into the position. All right, so we took that 2 up, and then we got rejected immediately, and we got sent back packing. Okay, so that's why we wait, and that's why we wait. We were waiting for that month to flip. All right, and we still got time for that month to flip, but right now we kind of lost this group a little bit. All right, so XLU kind of lost on that one. We'll see what happens as we go forward. XLC Communications, like Sirius Satellite and everything. Here's your week. Kind of stuck in just, this is not healthy for your wealth or for your health. From that move to the downside, never got back up, and that's just the way it is on that group. We had Netflix. We had Netflix was decent on the week, kind of fell apart here a little bit. It was a little stronger early in the week, and then kind of fell apart on us. Meta, these are the big ones that are going to move these around. All right, so Meta's a little better. So this is telling you how screwy this group is right now. All right, and then that Roblox that we watched that is just the, oh my God, just absolutely horrible. All right, so chop, chop, chop. Don't touch these stocks. All right, don't touch. But I do like Sirius Satellite, and I think that Siri has been knocked down pretty good. She fought back this week. I think this starts to, but I think it's going to need help from the rest of the group. But Siri by itself, I think, is a stud, and I think that stock goes higher. All right, so we'll see about that one on your XLC, XLB. We talked about. I think I covered about everything. XLP, um, bouncing around right now. All right, finishes with oh, that's XP. Sorry about that. XLP, I think it's like stuck in the middle here. Yeah, nice hammer up on the week. That's the day now. That's the day. So let's go back to the week. All right, there it is. All right, kind of stuck in the middle, little indecisive here with the 212. I definitely think the staples are going to get higher. Um, Now, if tech starts to break a little bit more, she probably will get a little bit better. If tech really starts to take over, she's probably going to pull back. All right, because we know what these staples do. They act defensively. All right, so if these semis and these cloud stocks, if they start to move to the upside, you're probably going to have to take a back seat to these guys, and I think the whole market will have to take a seat back for those guys, and that's the way it is. Because when they get in control, they'll have all the control. All right. So going through all these sectors right now, this is where we are. So I want to really finish up with the futures. And what do we got? Like I talked about it yesterday. How is the Q's going to end? They're either going to take the week out or they're going to do this. And this is what they did. All right, so 3 comes back up today, and this came from today. So this was they were trying like the hell to finish the week with something strong, but this is what we got right now on the weekly for the Qs. That does not look so good, but we'll see. But we did get a little bit of room for Sneaky Pete to get in there, so he's going to use that to get in there, sure, for sure. All right, and then there's your SPY. Same thing, was down stout coming in today, and then they picked it back up a little bit. So there was a little bit of reprieve today. So this was the little move that we got back up. We're still sitting there. We got a daily pattern that is just crazy. All right, this is the pattern that we're in right now. All right, so we got our own little island over here, 2 little islands over here. So this is getting all this out is going to be extremely difficult, and that's what I'm sticking with me on that one. All right, diamonds. Diamonds had a much better day today, and it was because of today again. The group wasn't that great. when you look at it on the dailies, you can kind of see what happened today. Today they did some work. All right, it was the two down. It was the same kind of setup as we see on Q's and Space, right? But yesterday, we had the gapper down, horrible day, and then we get right back out. All right, so maybe the diamonds start to turn here. All right, still got to get through all this, which is going to be extremely difficult. But you know what? This was a nice move today. I like to see that the diamonds showed up because they have already been down from the highs at 546.75. I've been counting the days down of how many days is it going to take before this thing starts to reverse. Well, we got a reversal on the week here now on diamonds. That's a turnaround. We'll see if anything can follow through with that. That's really all I got for that. Bitcoin strong as hell. XLB strong as hell. This is gonna be hard to break those groups right now. All right. I think them Chevrons and Exxons. I think they're still good. But again, it's the war trade. So, and then the rest of these sectors, that we're looking at, real estate, not really much going on with that. Kind of backed off a little bit. The discretionaries are still really, really sketchy on that group, and retail. I think we still got some troubles there, but I think in due time, these things are all things that we use, to our discretion is how when we want to spend our money. And I think a lot of people are maybe holding back a little bit on things right now, considering that we have a war and we have inflation, and now today we saw the 30-year yield was the highest since 2007. And if you look back to 2007 and see what the market was doing then, okay, wasn't that good. 2007, 2008 was not good. All right. So watch the yields. I talk about that all the time, and we'll see what happens there. All right. Bitcoin on the move. All right. Really big time. I think 80K soon, maybe even higher. All right. We'll see if they can pull all these futures out of the garbage can and see if the Bitcoin can get them up. All right, let's see what happens with that. All right, so hey, everybody have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and be good, be good.